Well, I was, disappointed in our first half. Um, I thought we looked a little bit out of it, and didn't play as well as we would have hoped to. I thought these guys did a good job, especially older guys, regrouping in the second half in the locker room, and then came out, I thought, and played a much better second half on both ends of the floor. I thought we moved and passed the basketball. I thought we found shooters. We were a little bit more patient. And then I thought defensively we did a better job. But I thought, give Missouri credit. They battled and fought. I thought that maybe a double overtime game, and I'm not trying to make excuses for them, and I don't know how Frank felt, but maybe, fatigue possibly had something to do, with them shooting the basketball, because obviously they're a great three-point shooting team. I think our defense probably contributed to it, but I'm sure for Brown, Clarkson, and Ross, playing the amount of minutes they did yesterday probably had some level of impact on their shooting.
Okay, we'll take your questions for either of the student athletes. Raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. Let's go ahead and start on the right side.
Yeah, for Scotty, can you just talk about, people talk about the dome and how tough it is to shoot, and how you and Michael and even Dorian were able to knock down threes?
I mean, it's just another gym, to be honest. Sometimes you shoot good in them, and sometimes you don't. I don't know. If the first one goes in, it's easier. We'll have more confidence, but we just try not to think about that and shoot with confidence every time.
Let's go to the middle, left side.
Scotty, within a minute and a half, you guys go on a 9-0 run. Last time out against Mizzou is very similar, where Michael Frazier hits 3 straight threes. What is about this team that you guys can just create separation in so little of the time?
I think it starts with getting stops, because if we score and they score, it won't be a run. But especially when we can make threes, it gets us a little bit more separation. But the key is getting stops, us scoring and limiting them to one rebound and getting a stop and trying to push the tempo on the offensive end.
Other questions for either student athletes? Raise your hand. Let's go back to the right side.
Casey, can you just talk about the first half? I mean, it almost seemed like their zone defense lulled you guys to sleep a little bit, and you had a hard time kind of getting energy going.
I mean, they played great defense in the first half. I feel like we came out kind of slow, taking things for granted. We wasn't really moving the basketball the correct way. But the biggest thing was our defense in the first half, which kind of kept them in the game. They're a good team, but we should have did some things a little bit better.
Another question on the right side.
Scotty, do you feel like your bigs had an advantage over theirs?
Their bigs did a good job of rebounding, especially in the first half. I think Pat and Will did a better job of being more aggressive, trying to get offensive and defensive rebounds, and we tried to look for Pat inside, get him a little bit more post touches in the second half, and I think Pat, Will, and Dodo did a better job of being aggressive and playing hard in the second half.
Other questions? Another one on the right side. Go ahead.
Scotty, can you just talk about the play after Will's layup where you got the steal, got it back to him, and got the 3 out there?
Whoever the other guard was did a good job of denying, and the referee count was counting down, and so I knew that Brown was going to go try to make a break for the ball, and I was able to get there before him and save it to Will.
Got time for one or two more? Let's go ahead, take it on the right.
Scotty, you think you got there before Jabari Brown on that play?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have another one on the right side? Go ahead. Behind you. There you go.
Scotty, do you think that Mizzou gave you more than you expected in that first half, or was it just that you guys came out a little slow?
No, I mean, I expected them to come out strong. I knew that they weren't going to take anything lightly. They were going to give us their best effort, but I don't think we did a good job of matching their effort, and that was what we tried to correct in the second half.
Okay, we'll excuse the student athletes. You can return to the locker room, which is open now. Thank you. And we'll continue on with questions for Coach Donovan. If you raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you, and we'll start right in the middle aisle.
Billy, 30 victories for the third time in your program. A lot of teams base success on 20 victory seasons. How hard is it for any team any year to get 30?
Oh, it's hard to get 30 wins. You know, it is. And actually, the last couple of years, I think we were maybe right around 30. I think we had 29 maybe the last couple of years. I mean, it's hard to win 30 games. So, I mean, I think what these guys have done, at least up until this point in time in the regular season, was truly special. You know, but now we're in a different part of our season, being postseason play. But I think for any team to win 30 games, it's very difficult.
Question on the far right.
Billy, were you almost not surprised to see the first half the way it was? As good as you guys have played all year, you got the trophy presentation right before the game and stuff like that.
No, there was a lot of things I thought leading up to this game that set itself up for us not to play well. And we had talked about a lot of those things. You know, one was having a week off. You know, playing a noon game on Saturday and not playing until Friday here at 1. There was a lot of time. I think the fact of the way the season ended, the way it kind of came to full circle for our 4 seniors. You know, going to the SEC tournament, feeling maybe good about ourselves. And we tried to address those things. I tried to address those things in practice. And, you know, what we did was, you know, I wanted them to get back emotionally and physically. So we got back to practice on Tuesday, and the first thing I did is I put jerseys in their lockers in our arena. And we scrimmaged. And we were awful. Awful. And, you know, we watched film and we talked about it. And, you know, there's an emotional battle that goes on when you go through what these guys have gone through. Then now you're taking the next step. And the thing that was disappointing to me in the first half was it was our seniors. Like, I thought Scotty came out and really competed and played hard and played a pretty decent first half. I thought he got frustrated and tried to do too much. But if you look at Prather, Yagget, and Young's line in that first half, it's not very good, and it was not very good. The 2 seniors, Will and Prather, were responsible for 4 turnovers on our first 7 possessions. And, you know, that's you know, they had to battle through that, but I give them credit that at halftime they got it corrected. They showed some resiliency and some fight and some battle there in the second half.